story of the evening. Viewers, 3 states, 3 audacious attacks on policemen, all in a span of 24 hours. These heart-wrenching incidents have shaken the conscience of the entire nation. The question is, who is emboldening mafia-free run? Viewers, hours after a DSP rank officer in Haryana's Nuh was crushed to death while trying to take on those involved in illegal mining, a woman cop in Ranchi was run over while trying to stop cattle smugglers last night. The cops had signaled the pickup truck to stop, but the driver tried speeding away and ran over the woman sub-inspector. In a similar case in Gujarat, a cop was crushed to death during a vehicle check. Let's now take a look at these 3 cases individually, where cops who tried taking on criminals had to pay the price with their lives. In DSP case, Surender Singh, the DSP, he was in fact now going ahead with a check. The truck cleaner has been arrested while search is still on to nab the driver. So that's an action that has been taken in that particular case. But we've been talking to the family members of the slain cop as well, who have in fact raised several questions on the incident and have hinted at a possible conspiracy. Listen in.
The 2 accused which have been named in the FIR, Ikkar and Mittar, who used to live here, from where we are reporting, and this is the residence of one of the accused, Mittar, who is currently missing from this location. Even the family members have gone from this particular place yesterday after their name has been lodged in the FIR. On the other side, this is the residence of Ikkar, who have been caught yesterday by the Haryana police. But certainly, this is the situation over here of this village, which is Panchgaon village here in Tauru. Nobody can be seen, and there are multiple homes where we can see their residences have been locked up and people have been missing from their houses. Search operations which is currently underway by the Haryana police to nab the other accused, Mittar, and this is the residence, a 3-story building which can be seen over here in this village, but nobody currently is at his residence, and the announcements constantly being made by the police officials that so there you can see, this is one of the announcement, if you can hear. So the announcement clearly states that nobody should come out of their homes. They should be inside their home, and no one should be given permission as far as to move outside, just because there have been several police officials and teams which have been deployed to nab the other accused.
वो जो 7 सिक्योरिटी थे भाई साहब के, जैसे आ रही मीडिया भी, सुरेंद्र
ड्राइवर और एक गनमैन
था, रीडर भी थे, तो भी डीएसपी ने खुद उतर के डंपर रुकवाया। तो मेरा कहना का मतलब ऐसी क्या नौबत आ गई, डीएसपी गाड़ी से उतरता है, डंपर रुकवाता है। वो 7 स्टाफ थे, वो किस लिए थे? अफसर तो गाड़ी से उतरता ही नहीं है, वो तो गाड़ी में बैठे रहते, और डंपर तो वो उनके रुकाना उनका काम था। और भाई साहब तो नए थे वहाँ, क्यों 2 साल से पता नहीं होता, इतने परिचित हो नहीं सकते। जो लोकल स्टाफ था, लगभग पोस्टिंग होती है वो लगभग वहीं के होते हैं, क्यों उनको तो वेर एक चीज की पता होता है कहाँ क्या होता। उन्होंने मान लो जैसे एफआईआर में कह रहे, वो स्टाफ कह रहे हमने छलांग लगा दीजिए, और वो छलांग लगा नहीं सके। तो भैया छलांग तने तो लगा दी, तेरे को जिसके लिए रखा था वो तो तेरी ड्यूटी नहीं निभाई ना। एक डीएसपी के प्रोटेक्शन के लिए, गनमैन तो डीएसपी के प्रोटेक्शन के लिए दिया था, नहीं कि।
All right, let me quickly introduce our guest joining us this evening. We have Raman, Malik, spokesperson of the BJP, also Nirmal Kaur, former DGP Jharkhand, and Manasvi Thapar, lawyer and political analyst with us. Now, this is a big story that we're tracking here, and we've also opened our call-in lines, so our viewers also want to take in questions from our guests, and they want to express their opinion on what they think is going wrong here. We have Lakshmi joining us from Bengaluru. Good evening to you, Lakshmi. Yes, let's begin with you.
Good evening. Good evening. Thanks for giving me this chance. See, I would say without political clout, this can never happen. we'll have to find out who is the politician or who are the politicians who are behind this. Without this cannot happen, because if we recall, very recently before the Tamil Nadu elections, there was a sand mining going on there. In fact, they had the audacity, the politicians had the audacity to say that once we come to power, you can continue your sand mining. We will make sure that nobody comes near you. You know, so there is definitely a political clout. So we'll have to find this. This should go to the bottom of it, the bottom of this. And then the other thing is, what about the conviction rate? We see how the courts are functioning. You just go there and they come out on bail. They are making a laughing stock of the whole system. So according to me, there are two things. One is find out the politicians who are behind this 100%. There is, without political clout, this cannot happen.
And that's the question.
That's all I want to say.
That's the question that we'd like to take to our guests this evening. Thank you, Lakshmi, for calling us here on Times Now. Mr. Raman, Malik, if I could begin with you. Now, yesterday, the Haryana mining minister was confronted by Times Now. He says that there is no mafia involved, there is no involvement of mining mafia in the murder of the DSP, saying that there were local involvement in this particular incident. How is it that the mining minister is saying this when there is so much proof that suggests that there was clear sand mafia hand behind this? And if at all, it was some local miscreant, some local element, some notorious element, how did the mining minister jump to that conclusion in no time? We picked up his reaction in minutes from when we picked up the news.
I had given a clarification earlier also yesterday on various channels that the reaction of the Honorable Minister was subject to information available at that particular point in time, which later on, after the team of various, Haryana police teams, which were investigating into the issue, had also had engagement with these people, and firing was done. Now, having gone through these facts, it is clear that it seems to be an organized mafia, and the Honorable Minister later on had very clearly said that this whole statement was based on an information which later on came out to be incorrect, and he has given it very clearly.
That's the window the opposition got, sir, to,
Madam,
yes, to take on the BJP. That's the only window that they got to talk about the law and order situation, and that's what really happened. But before I take this across to our other guests, stay on with us. We have Rajaji calling us from Jammu. Rajaji, are you also of the opinion that the mafia are thriving under some sort of protection in several states? We're not talking about one case here.
Of course, definitely. They thrive under influential people, politically motivated people. They are their voters. Then they get their votes also. It is definitely how China controls everything, how America controls. But this is nonsense here. People are getting what you call nonsense is happening in whole of India. Only because of politics. And
absolutely. We appreciate you sharing that view, Mr. Rajaji, on this broadcast here. Let me quickly bring in another caller before I take this up with our guests once again. We have Gautam calling us from Chennai. Good evening, Gautam.
Hello, I want to tell you, you have to remove this law, LAW. The lawmakers are lawbreakers, and who is suffering? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
All politics, all are involved in this. This single man cannot be done, too.
All right. So you're saying the lawmakers are often the lawbreakers, and that's the question here. If I could quickly bring in Nirmal Kaur into the conversation. Ma'am, what do you make of, this worrying pattern? We've seen 3 such incidents come to light within 24 to 48 hours. The cops merely performing their duties, going ahead with regular checks. But look what these criminals have to do, how emboldened they are to really run over their vehicles over the cops on duty.
Concerned that these illegal elements, the unlawful elements, they are so emboldened and they are so bold that they can do anything. Instead of, they are on the wrong side of the law, and when they are being questioned or being, if somebody wants to talk to them or check their vehicle, they simply resort to mowing the person down, which is the height of lawlessness and also a defiance of law in its, cathartic form. You defy law in a way that you kill the other person who is trying to search your vehicle. Instead of respect for law, what you have is the total disregard and this kind of abhorrence for law and this kind of no regard for law where you're willing to kill the policeman. 3 policemen in 24 hours, that shows the kind of mentality our nation has. It's not one part of the country, it's west, north, east, everywhere.
Yes.
And this girl, this lady officer who's been mowed down, or the Kiran Raj in Gujarat, or DSP Surender by the sand mafia in New area, all this shows us that the police, they have scant respect for the law and scant respect for the police. Now, the reason behind them is definitely, sand mining or these kind of illegal activities. They are very highly paying activities, and the stakes are so high that they don't stop at killing. And they also know that somehow, whatever happens, if they kill the policeman, they are going to come out unscathed. They are not going to be killed. Maybe at best they'll serve a few years sentence at all if they are called and convicted, if they are arrested and they're recognized. So that is the charge kind of defense.
Ma'am, the charge is that the law and order has collapsed clearly in each of these cases and strictest of action must be taken. This kind of a free run is going to lead to a very dangerous pattern and we can't let it reoccur. Let me go across to our callers before I take in a word from Manasvi Thapar. We have Ramchandar calling us from Hyderabad. Good evening, Ramchandar. Yes, tell us, what do you feel?
Good evening, ma'am, and to the panel members also. There are 3 to 4 reasons. This is not the only instance wherein we are having such callers calling in and discussions being taking place. Every day from 7 to 9, 10, I watch it times now. I see so many things happening in the country. There's too much of lawlessness. First of all, there are 3 to 4 reasons. Let me briefly tell them. The public has got no fear for the police, no respect or no fear, because the police work under the pressure of the political process, number one. So
all right. So you're saying the criminals can't have a free run because that's going to essentially mean that the common man will have to live under the fear of these criminals. I thank you for joining us with that view, Mr. Ramchandar. Let me go across to Manasvi Thapar, who's been waiting patiently on this broadcast. Manasvi, do you also feel that there is a free hand being given to the mafia? In each of these cases, we've seen how there was something suspicious, is why there was an attempt being made by the said cop to stop the vehicle, is when the vehicle was conveniently run over the cop. This is not about a state issue, a political party issue. This is a law and order issue.
Precisely. I have not seen the kind of new India we want to envisage in this country, wherein this incident could have been prevented. I tell you how. In 2021 to 2022, 910 FIRs have been registered in Haryana itself, four times the fold from the previous year on illegal mining alone. And in illegal mining, 2,000 plus vehicles have been seized by Haryana police. And today, while we stand, no district where DSP was murdered have the highest number of FIRs for illegal mining, 239 FIRs. And even after that, what was the state doing? State, on the contrary, with the data we have on record, is actually shielding criminals, is promoting illegal mining.
All right. I unfortunately don't have the time for Mr. Malik to respond to that. But yes, the charge here is that the mafia in some of these cases is also thriving under the government protection. A very, very serious charge. I'm going to have to leave it at that. But the common man should not fear living under the threat of these criminals, because if this is what the cops are, the treatment that is being meted out to the cops, then God knows what's going to happen to the common man. Thank you, Mr. Raman, Malik, Nirmal Kaur, and also Manasvi Thapar for joining us this evening. I'll have to leave it at that. News and updates continue. Viewers, slipping into a very short break here.